Happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of Mavens of Manufacturing. I am Meaghan Ziemba, and today I'm really excited because I have Ingor with us today. And she's not traditionally from the manufacturing sector, but she is helping manufacturers up their LinkedIn game. So if you're here, feel free to drop some comments in the comment section or ask questions there, and I'll pull you up as much as I can. But I really want to give the time to Ingor because she's a great human being. She's very positive, and anytime I'm feeling down, I like to watch her stuff because of how positive she is and how
Wow.
uplifted she is. So, Ingor, thank you so much for joining me today on Mavens. I'm really excited about this conversation, and I just want to start off by giving you a chance to introduce yourself and who you are and some of the things that you do as a connection catalyst, because that's something that you highlight on your LinkedIn profile.
Wow. Thank you, Megan, for this opportunity. I'm so, you know, I'm fangirling right now, I will say. 'Cause, you are one of those people that has been in my circle, and I've just admired you and what you've done within the space, even becoming an accidental
Yeah.
manufacturer, because that is part of my story too. And I'm just so excited to be here. So thank you for this opportunity. Hello to anybody that's watching. My name is Ingor Van Rooi, and I am recognized as a connection catalyst. What that means is I help entrepreneurs and manufacturers develop a strategy so that they can stand out and connect with their ideal community. So I help them by coaching them with regards to LinkedIn and other opportunities that they have to show up on brand, and just develop a strategy that they can follow and work through, to be able to just make sure that their brand is established, that they have brand recognition, and that they have brand support as well. Because you know what? Many of us will choose either Coca-Cola or Pepsi, right? And
Yeah.
the same it goes the same with regards to other brands as well. If you have
Mhm.
more than one brand that offers the same thing, there will be reasons why you will choose that a specific brand to support. And so through what I do in terms of strategy, I help people be the one that is chosen.
That's awesome. I love that. So, from your personal branding, how long have you been on LinkedIn for? Because you have quite a bit of following, and I know that every week you have the Power of Networking podcast that you do, and there's so many people that engage with your content, and even if they're not part of the conversation, they're in the comments, engaging with one another and connecting with one another. So, how did this whole journey start for you? Like, what inspired you to take that leap and tell yourself, yes, this is what I want to do?
Wow. I've been on LinkedIn for a long time, but I think my story is very similar to other people in that I was on LinkedIn for a long time, yes, but I wasn't using it properly. And
Hmm.
what people don't realize is that the whole point of LinkedIn is to be linked in. So we need to link into our community and really look at those characteristics that people have that are part of our community, that we love about them, and then strive to emulate that, just to help you and amplify your skill set and help you be the best version of yourself. For me, in terms of changing the way that I use LinkedIn, it actually started with a very pivotal moment for me, and that was I saw a post on LinkedIn where he posted and said, "If you would like to grow on this platform, reach out to me or make a comment on this post." And at that point, I was very afraid of making comments because I was just thinking, oh, who's gonna see me? What are they gonna say? So
Mm.
I sent him a DM, and he gave me three tips. He just said, you know what? In order for you to grow on LinkedIn, you need to be consistent. That was
Mm-hmm.
the biggest thing that he said. And I realized that, you know what? In order to be consistent, I need to make sure that I'm speaking out of one side of my mouth, not both sides. So, in other words, the person that I am here in front of you is exactly the same person that I show up as in person. It's exactly the same person that I show up on online as well. And we need to make sure that we are authentic in the way that we interact, because if we don't, the truth will come out at some
Yeah.
point, because it's exhausting having to pretend, right?
Yep.
So yeah,
So true.
that's part of how I got started. Just knowing that I needed to show up, be consistent, and be myself and show up authentically.
I love that, and I think that's a great point of being authentic, because yeah, you don't want to present yourself one way and then when you show up in public you're a completely different person, because then you lose your credibility, and people won't trust you after that, and that's just not good for business or personal relationships either. I know you have so many great tips on how individuals can really up their LinkedIn game. But I wanted to ask you a question that I actually stole from you because I just thought it was a great question. Um, but what is your life statement? Because I feel like that is something that you also connect with what you're doing through your podcast and your video cast and on LinkedIn. So can you share your life statement with all of us?
Sure. I actually, I've always known that I love people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've told you the story behind how I developed my life statement, because I remember thinking, because somebody asked me to be on his show, and I had to think really long and hard about whether I wanted to do it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it took me about 2 months, because most of the time, if I could, this is how I would show up online.
Oh.
Because I think that is so true for many of us, because we're always hypercritical of ourselves. We're always
Hmm.
looking at ourselves and criticizing. And our inner voice is really something that we need to develop, to be kinder, because we wouldn't be saying the things that we say to ourselves a lot of the time, we wouldn't say to somebody else. Um,
Mm.
but in any case, somebody invited me, and he posed this question to me, and I thought, oh my gosh, I guess everybody has a life statement. Why don't I have one? And of course, I've discovered that not everybody has a life statement, because as you said, I asked this question on my show, but I realized that my love for people is something that has always been part of me, and I didn't realize it at the time. But as I continued talking about it, I realized that it was tied to a principle that is part of my roots. It's an ancient African principle, and it's rooted in South Africa, like me, which is the principle of Ubuntu. And Ubuntu means I am because we are. And so I realized that that is really the driving force behind every single thing that I do. And
Hmm.
so when I was posed with that question, I had to develop my life statement, and I realized that this is what it is. It is to positively impact the lives of others.
I love that.
Thank you.
It makes you feel so much better too when you know that you're helping someone in some way. And I think that's the greatest payback ever is like you put in the work and then you know that's going to change other people's lives for the better. And just to see
Yes.
their reaction is the greatest feeling ever. So I love your life statement.
Thank
I do want to take notice of people who are already commenting, and we're very familiar with Whitney. Hi, Whitney. Thank you for
you.
joining us. So
Thank
nice to see you. Whitney will be on Mavens at some point too, so I'm super excited about that. And then we have Vince. Hello, all big
you.
supporter. Thank you so much, Vince. And then we have Hank. and he has his two daughters here with us. He calls them the junior board of directors
Oh,
today.
nice.
Hi, ladies. Thanks for joining us
Hi.
again today. And then Hank said amen, LinkedIn. And then we have Katie. Katie, I'm so sorry I missed you at the PT Expo.
Exactly.
My schedule got so hectic and I had to change stuff around, so I missed her at the
Oh,
show. So we definitely have to figure out when to reconnect. And then just them saying hi
very
back
nice
and
to meet
forth
as
to each
well.
other. Katie said it took me a long time to go live too. Now I prefer live or recorded. Yes, Katie,
Yes.
I do too. I think it's funny because some people are so afraid to like come off a certain way if they do live. So they get more comfortable if they rehearse something, and I completely understand that. But I've come to find out that more people like genuine, authentic
Yeah.
conversations, and we all have bloopers in our lives because we're
Yeah.
all humans. And I think those bloopers are hilarious. So why not help make people laugh when you make fun of yourself? So,
Exactly.
and then Whitney, Katie, it's easier in some ways to go live. You don't have the time to agonize over how you look or what you say. So true.
Yes.
So true. And then you both do positively impact my life. Thank you so much, Katie.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate
Katie.
that. That's awesome. And then Whitney's saying, junior board of directors, how adorable.
It is.
Whitney, they are awesome. If you're not following Hank, follow Hank because he has some photos of his daughters doing some really cool stuff. And it is adorable. And they're gonna be amazing adults when they grow up if they keep going the path that they're going because they're doing some cool stuff already, and they have their life more put together than I ever had. Like I'm still trying to put my life together. So thank you all for joining us. If you have
Yes.
questions for Ingor as our conversation continues, feel free to drop those in the comments and we can answer those as well too. But I do want to talk about Ingor, how you specifically help manufacturers get connected with their audience, because I am from the manufacturing sector, and some of the conversations that I have with some of my network is basically on that. And one individual who has helped me with my LinkedIn network has been Jake Hall. He has a really good system down. So I just wanted to see what sort of similarities there were between your strategy and his strategy, because I like to see where some synergies are, and what can be improved on both sides of things. But
Nice.
when it comes to manufacturers specifically, what are some of the things that you like tell them? Like, what's the first thing they should do?
Um, and this the first thing that they should do, and it's not just manufacturers, but everybody I feel, is really establish your foundation, because you need to build your house from the ground up. And
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, the foundation of your LinkedIn is really your profile. And that is optimizing that profile, making sure that you complete all the parts that need to be completed. You're making sure that your picture is a good picture of you, and a good picture can really mean a lot of things. But I do share a little bit about what that looks like. You need to make sure that it's head and shoulders. First of all, it needs to look like you. So not a picture that is 10 years old. And please go light on the filters because sometimes we want to eliminate all these imperfections, but what it does is it really distorts what you look like in the
Yeah.
picture, right? So always make sure that it's recognizable. um, Make sure that there's only you in the picture as well. Make sure that it's your head and shoulders and that it takes up a good portion of your image. And then one thing that I will say is make sure that it's in color.
Yeah.
um, because a lot of us tend to gravitate towards black and white because maybe it looks better to us. But
Mm-hmm.
studies have shown that when your profile picture is in color, it makes you feel approachable.
That's an interesting fact. I didn't know that. That's really cool. And
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I subconsciously knew that. I just gravitate more towards colored photos anyways. Like I just like how they look better.
I
I
love
like
black and white.
I love black and white in certain instances, but I just like colors. I don't know. I Yeah, black and white's okay sometimes. I just
Yeah.
always gravitate more to colorful photos and paintings and
Yeah.
um if it's between the two, that's generally what I pick. I don't know.
Wow. But
Yeah.
yes, definitely a color picture, and then also make sure that your banner picture, um, you change it from the generic banner, so you can use a banner that has I don't know, the city that you live in, or something pertaining to your industry, or
Okay.
something pertaining specifically to the company that you work with. And make sure that you have a CTA in there that is very clear and concise, not a lot of wording, so that when somebody goes onto your page, you have to remember this is their first introduction to you as a person. And you want to make sure that you come across as somebody that knows what they're talking about. Um,
Yeah.
and then other tips that I would give are make sure you fill in the headline part, and don't be afraid that you're going to come across as being boastful. I know manufacturers are people that we stand in the background and we make sure that everything is taking place there, but we don't want to be boastful about accomplishments. But the thing is, you have to remember this is your online business card. Like I said, it's your first introduction, somebody's first introduction to you. And you need
Hmm.
to make sure that when they go into your profile looking for something specific, that they then feel that they can approach you.
Yeah. I have to double check all of my stuff and see if I'm hitting all those marks. I did have one person reach out to me and they said, I saw your LinkedIn profile and your banner photo showed you with a mohawk, and I just had to know who you were. And I just started laughing because they just loved the fact that I had a mohawk in my hair. And they're like, you have to be someone of interest, of interesting personality to talk. I'm like, no, I just don't care what my hair looks like. I like giving my barber freedom to do what he wants to do with his art. And he just thought it was the coolest thing that I highlighted my hair in one of my photos. So
Cool.
sometimes that works too.
Yeah.
But we have a few comments. I wanted to bring this up. Vince said, "Oop, my mouse is over. Keep the bloopers in the final cut.
Oh,
Real. Yep."
yes.
And then Whitney goes, "Oh my gosh, my picture doesn't look like me anymore. What a difference a year makes."
Well,
I
JD, she just
so
recently colored her hair pink.
oh yeah, that that's the thing because I used to have long hair and then I chopped it all off and I didn't
Mm.
switch my video profile to match my profile picture, and I had a couple people confused like what the heck happened to your hair, and I'm like I chopped it off. So I just recently updated my video profile so that it matches my haircut because it threw people off, and you don't think those details would matter, but they do.
Yes.
um so in terms of LinkedIn, like LinkedIn is a platform for networking, and I know a lot of people struggle with it, but in your insight, like why is networking so important, especially for manufacturing brands? Like I have my personal opinion, but I'm always excited to hear what other people's opinions are of the platform because there are some folks from the older generations who like want nothing to do with any kind of social media platform. And when I tell them no, it's going to help you actually sell your product a little bit more and connect with your potential customers, they kind of just look at me blankly like I'm not doing this. I don't want to do it. I want nothing to do with it. So what are some words of advice that you can give to some of those folks who are a little hesitant of being more public, I guess you could say, cuz they really don't want to be on social media because they do like their privacy. So what's some
Mhm.
words of advice you can give them?
Um, I think the first thing that we have to realize is you get to decide how much you share.
That's true.
It's not, it's not that you go on a social media platform and you just have to be like everybody else. No, we want you to be you.
Hmm.
So if you are private, if you don't want to share so much, that's okay. That's okay. But
Hmm.
we always need to make sure that when you're going on any sort of platform, you're speaking to the audience. You have to think about those people that you need to speak to in order to get them to reach out to you, to want to work with you, to want to buy from you. Make sure that you're speaking to them, speaking to their pain points.
Hmm.
But honestly, uh, if you are not showing up online, you've missed the boat. It
Hmm.
is 2023. The pandemic has shown us that there are things that are unknown in the future that we cannot plan for. And, what if in a year or two, heaven forbid, God forbid that this happens, but what if something like that happens again and we're just
Yeah.
flung into that space where we cannot go out, we can't pick up, we can't go and meet people in person, you can't go to trade shows, then
Yeah.
what are you going to do? You have to embrace social media because that's where it's at. And I'm not saying that you have to do everything online. All
Hmm.
I'm saying is that, you know what, there can be a happy medium between in person and virtual as well. Because you know what, like, I actually, when I went to my first trade show last year, and I spoke with a few people trying to get their understanding and also the way that they feel about showing up online. And one
Hmm.
gentleman, he was the CEO of a manufacturing company, and I asked him, like, what do you feel? How do you feel about LinkedIn? And he said, you know what? I really use LinkedIn, and I was absolutely flabbergasted because this guy, you just when you look at him, you wouldn't think that he would embrace it the way that he explained. And he said,
Hmm.
you know what I do there the most is I actually go on LinkedIn and I do research on companies that I want to collaborate with or that I want to go and sell to.
That's
I
cool.
do the research before I go and meet them, because when he has those conversations with them in person, he can mention different things that he's seen on LinkedIn, and that
Yeah.
helps to build a rapport. So even if you don't want to be on LinkedIn, guess what? Your customers are,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Um, Katie said, the best advice I ever got on my headline is that the first word should be a verb. I didn't know that. What do you do? Mine is connecting buyers and sellers. I have to see what mine says. I don't think I have a verb on there. But that's a good tip. And plenty
Yeah,
of folks who are not interested in hearing anything about LinkedIn. And
yeah,
I think Whitney brings up a good point. So one of the things that manufacturers are trying to do now is like get in front of the next generation because we have this huge skills gap. And I know a lot of kids. I got to stop calling them kids. I'm almost 40, so anybody that's like younger than me, I'm like calling them kids because it's like the mama bear in me. I got to stop doing that. But my daughter, for instance, she's not on LinkedIn and she has no interest in being on LinkedIn. But I try to tell anyone that's in high school or in community college or at a university, I try telling them, look, if you're looking for a job, go on LinkedIn because that's where a lot of the employers of the companies you're interested in are they're gonna be. But it's gotta be a two-way street, right? Companies need to know let when students are on there, hey, we're looking for internships and stuff too. So it's really about marketing campaigns and strategies. And I
yes,
know some companies, specifically within manufacturing, they really try to push LinkedIn on some of their employees. And some of those folks, some of those employees want nothing to do with it, like I mentioned before. Do
yes.
you have any specific advice for companies who are trying to persuade their employees to be brand advocates for them on their personal LinkedIn pages, how to kind of convince them to do that, because there is that argument where, no, this is my personal LinkedIn page, why do I need to start selling your brand when I'm just an employee here? Like, what sort of advice do you have for them, if any? Because it's been a touchy subject for some people that I've encountered. Like, they don't want to be told what to do on their personal stuff.
Yeah.
So how do you work around that?
I think the main reason why that happens is many of those employees actually don't know how to conduct themselves on LinkedIn. So a good way to get them, to help them, is to bring in somebody like me, or a brand strategist, or somebody that can help them negotiate this unknown ocean of LinkedIn, and allow them to see the value of LinkedIn. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, what is important is this: we can tell people facts, we can tell them stats, right? We can share different things, but I'm going to tell you the most important way to bring across a point is to have people come in and speak about their experience on LinkedIn, tell their story, because we feel stories.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's so.
this has been something that we've done over generations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why are stories passed down? It's because we remember them, because we remember how they make us feel.
Yeah. That's so true. Greg made a comment. He said, two big lessons of the last 3 years have been A, the value of in person connection, and B, maximizing our time behind our screens to amplify and connect as broadly and targeted as possible.
Yes,
That's very true.
he's right, because what we should realize is that LinkedIn is not the be all and end all, but
Hmm.
it is a tool that is there to help you. Megan, what people don't realize is that there are more than 800 million people that use LinkedIn.
I didn't know that. That's a lot of people.
Yes, it's a lot of people. And I'm going to tell you something else. 80% of those people, so 4 out of 5 of all these people, are actually decision makers.
That's very important, especially for someone that's trying to sell something. So that's good point.
Yes, and also the other thing that you need to know is that whatever is posted on LinkedIn can be pulled by a Google search. And why does this matter? Why does this matter? Let me tell you why. Because if somebody wants to buy something, what do we do? Especially for big ticket items. Well, we Google that.
Yes, that's
And so,
awesome.
so if you are talking about your product, talking about the service that you have to offer on LinkedIn, and somebody Googles whatever it is that you do, guess what? It's going to be on the Google search. And then you are getting in front of the audience that wants to buy with you, that wants to connect with you. It's so
That's
important.
cool. I don't think I knew that about the Google search. So that now I need to up my game even further so I can be part of that. Whitney goes, "Ooh, yes, would love to hear Ingor's thoughts on this. I haven't been successful in encouraging people to be engaged on LinkedIn really at all, let alone as an advocate." So that was in response to my
Yeah,
question about how companies can convince their employees to be brand advocates. Because it gets hard. And especially if it's employees that don't have long-term goals with the company. Like if it's only a short term that they plan on being with the company, they might not find value helping the
yeah,
company. So I get that part of it. And then Whitney, yes, social media is good for SEO. SEO. So you did share some tips already for how everyone, not just manufacturers, who want to start expanding their reach, like with their profile picture. Do you have any more
yeah,
tips for that specifically on how people can expand their reach? Because LinkedIn is actually adding quite a bit of like new features as well too. Like I know they recently did a scheduling feature so that you can schedule posts ahead of time. They also have like a newsletter feature that I need to actually look into because one of my friends just started one like a week or a month ago, and he's like, I gained like 3,000 like he's at 3,000 followers, but over the last month he gained like 1,000 followers from his newsletter, and I'm like, that's awesome. I need to look into this.
Yeah.
So, what other tips can you provide?
Um, I have a strategy that I teach my clients on really how to connect, because as you see, I'm the connection catalyst, and what
Hmm.
I do is I'm speaking specifically in C's so that we can the alliteration catches, right? So um, once your profile is optimized and you've got that foundation laid out, the next thing that I would suggest you do is connect. Identify people who you need to connect with and connect with them. And this can be, it could be people that you want to sell to. It could
Hmm.
be even if you decide that it's people within your industry that you want to communicate with. That's the first thing. Identify who it is that you want to connect with and connect with them. Build those connections, but don't do it in a way that is chasing those vanity metrics. Don't do it just because you want to add a number to the amount of connections that you have, but do it because you genuinely want to connect. Because nobody wants somebody who's going to be reaching out to them as soon as you connect and reaching out to you in the DMs with a pitch,
Yeah.
right?
I
um,
get so
yeah.
annoyed by those people. I just had like 10 people this week connect with me, and then right away they're trying to sell me stuff. I don't even comment anymore. I don't even say no, thank you. I just completely ignore them because I'm like, no, you did not, you don't know anything personal about me.
Yeah.
I'm not even wasting my energy to tell you politely to go somewhere. Like, no, thank you. I'm ignoring you. Like, it's
And why is
ridiculous.
that though? You have to think about that. It's because people buy from people. And this is
Hmm.
why it's important for employees to get on this LinkedIn bandwagon and be a
Hmm.
brand supporter for the company that they work for. Because people buy from people, not necessarily a name or a company. It's
Yeah.
because of relationships that we build with others, right? So as I said, the first step would be to connect. And then once you've connected with those people, the next step is to communicate, right?
Mhm.
And I'm speaking about, sending somebody a DM and striving to get to know them. It can be overwhelming at times because if you think, if you are maxing out on those connections every week, which is about 100 a week, that's a lot
Mhm.
of people to keep in touch with. So start small. Don't bite off more than you can chew, but definitely keep in touch with those people. Send them messages, get to know them, and just massage the relationship. And then for me, the last step, I said connect and communicate. Now, the last step is to collaborate. Look at how you can collaborate with others. And this doesn't have to mean that you're going to sell to them, or that you're going to work together in a where you have a transactional relationship, right? It's what I'm
Mhm.
saying is, when with regards to collaborating, is, you know what, if somebody is posting about something, go ahead and comment and add value in their post, and then share the post, just to collaborate with them and help push them forward. You will see
Yeah.
it'll pay off in dividends, because now that person understands that, you know what, you're not just here to take, but you're here to give. And you collect more bees with honey than with vinegar.
You do. I love that. And the other thing too, I think to add on to that is once you do have that relationship where, you connected, you communicated, and then you're collaborating, make sure you're consistent with it too. Cause I know that some people, like after they make that first
Yes.
sale or transaction, they fall off
Yes.
and they don't continue growing that relationship. And I think some of the best salespeople are the ones that continue to follow up with their customers and are like, "Hey, how's your family? How's life? What can I do to help? You know, if there's anything, please continue to reach out to me." They keep that relationship going, and
Right?
eventually it turns into a friendship, and I think that's important as well. Whitney said, "Dang, that newsletter growth is impressive." I thought so too. That's why I need to start on that bandwagon. And then Greg, there's so much LinkedIn automation that it most likely isn't even someone personally reaching out. I've had a couple bots reach out to me too, and it's kind of annoying. I think it's all the ones that are calling me sir. I think
Really?
those are the yes, I've had so many connection like DMs come in and say, "Hello, sir." And I'm like, "Is it the haircut? Maybe it's my short hair." And they're not seeing that. Yeah, so that's been fun. That's been a fun laugh. And then yes, it's important to be consistent. I just Greg goes, it's funny. It's pretty
Wow.
funny. So yeah, I just and I'm like, my name is Megan. Like I don't know too many guys with the name Megan. So it's just really can and then I'm thinking maybe it might be some sort of language barrier if they're from I have no idea. Like I don't know. I just Hey, we had someone posting weekly on LinkedIn and then fell off after the holidays and hasn't gotten back on the wagon. The consistency is a huge piece in building trust. I
Yeah.
agree. And I think that's another thing um, important to discuss. So, a lot of companies have their company pages. So,
Yes.
it's not a specific individual that's posting, but the company itself. And this question has come up a lot. And I would love to hear your insights on it. So a lot of individuals will post daily if they want to increase their following. But then companies are like, no, I want to post either 2 to 3 times a week. What is your advice? Like, is daily better? Is it once a week, 2 times a week? Like, what's the right amount of posting
Yeah.
for individuals and for companies? Let's do both.
So, what I'll say is this: when you are deciding on your strategy, whether you're
Hmm.
working with a strategist or whether you are really just deciding for yourselves as a company, you need to decide on what is the pace or sequence that you'll be able to follow and keep consistent, right? And it's really
Hmm.
up to you. The most important thing is once you've decided to do this, you need to follow through. So you can decide to do it once a week. You can decide to do it every day. And I'm gonna, you ask me what's better, every day or once a week, and I'm gonna say this. If you take a group of students that's learning to do art and you divide them into two groups. One group is given the mandate to to do this, to paint and draw every day, and another one is being told, okay, you don't have to do so much work. How about you do this once a week or once every 2 weeks, right? Who's going to develop the skill faster? It's the group that's doing it every day,
That's a
right?
good point. Yeah.
It's yes. So you're going to develop and figure out what works best the more often you do it. But I'm going to say be careful with what you decide to do because you need to decide on something that's going to work with you and that you'll be able to keep up. Because
Hmm.
posting every day, I'm going to tell you, it's exhausting. Uh, right? Come having to think of content to post every day. Oh my gosh. It's exhausting. So I would say just choose your cadence and stick to it.
Hmm.
But the more often, of course, that you do it, the faster you'll learn and figure out what works best for your audience because it's all about the audience
Hmm.
and knowing what they like and what they don't like.
Yeah. And Whitney said it needs to be a sustainable cadence. And great analogy, Ingor. And then she also said you need to build the muscle and learn from the repeated experience of doing. And I agree with that. Do
Abs-
you have any suggestions of like tools people can use to keep their postings organized and be able to track them? Because one of the very helpful things that Jake offered to me was, and he's so organized, like I am just blown away how that guy gets all of his contact or content organized. He's like a master in spreadsheets, which is something I am still struggling with, but getting better at because of his suggestion. So
yes.
he'll like keep a weekly um, a weekly log of all the content. So every week he takes one day and he plans out the week, the next week of what content he's going to post. And then
Hmm.
he also tracks like the engagement for each post. I'm not that like I don't do all of that, but it's really impressive because it has helped build up his
Yes.
following and stuff, and he gets a lot of engagement on a lot of his posts. So do you have any like tool suggestions or um, things that could help them kind of keep their strategy organized?
Yes, I would say find what works best for you. And a lot of the time, when we're trying out new items or new applications, it can lead to overwhelm. So
Mhm.
I would say look at what you use a lot, right? So you can use your calendar, you can use a Microsoft Word document, you can use Excel if you love spreadsheets. It's just about you deciding what is the best way for you and then sticking to it. And I know I'm saying this a lot, but this is key because at the end of the day, it's going to help you to continue to be consistent, because when you're introducing new things and a new way of doing things, a new thing that you're doing also, it becomes overwhelming, and then we end up doing it for a little while and then giving up. So
Yeah.
decide what works best for you and do that. Um, I personally use a calendar. So within my calendar, I create an event, and I decide what kind of content I'm gonna do, and then just put it in there so that it's ready for when I'm ready to post.
That is that I want to try to pull up what I have. So I use a spreadsheet because I try to do things that I'm not so good at to get better at them. But I
Mhm.
do want to call out some of these comments that are, wow, a flood of them just came in. Um, I read that one. You need, okay. Vince said, come on, Vince. Any statistical data on posting on weekends? Do you have any information that would be helpful for him? Because I know some people that will post on weekends. I try to put my phone away on the weekends so that I can spend more time with my family, but there are some times where I'll post something, but most of the time it's not my own content, it's me sharing other people's content. So do you have any advice on that?
Um, I know for manufacturers, Saturday mornings work really well um, in terms of
Okay.
posting, and Sundays not so well. So I'm talking about, getting a good reach, right? So if you want to get a good reach, Saturday mornings work really well. Fridays don't really. And the very best day to post on LinkedIn is actually a Thursday.
Oh, interesting. I thought it was a Tuesday or Wednesday, but it's Thursday.
Thursday.
Okay. I gotta keep that mental note there. I try to post every day during the week just because I
Yeah,
like I don't want people to forget about Mavens, so that's what I
they
try to
won't.
do. So Whitney said for work, I use a spreadsheet for planning the content calendar and saving the written content. And then
Nice.
she said I also use Monday.com in a similar way and I've been enjoying that. I've played around with Monday.com and I like that one too because it's
Yeah.
kind of similar. She said one thing I like about the spreadsheet is being able to easily search and copy and paste so I don't have to ever start from scratch. And
Yes.
then Katie said, I have zero plan. The only thing I do consistently is my top industry post on Mondays. I can get better at a lot. At least you're doing it on Mondays, though, and it's
Yeah.
consistent. So that's good. And then I always know how to expect your post on Monday. So see, Katie is working. Whitney
Yes.
expects it. And then Vince says he posts Saturday morning. So
Nice.
that's I'm not gonna dig around with it because it's distracting and today I'm having a problem with multitasking, but I use a spreadsheet as well too. And what I'll do is I'll share an image of it, but it's actually one of the things I share with my clients who are looking to start
Yeah.
a content strategy. And
Yeah.
what I'll do is it's for the whole year. So typically we break up our fiscal years by quarters. So we have 4 quarters throughout the year. So one thing that you should think about, okay, what's my goal for this month? What's my goal for this quarter?
Mhm.
And break up your content in themes. So then this way, you're not just thinking about your social posts, but you're also thinking about your long form posts.
Yeah.
So I have this spreadsheet where it's all of their content involving their targeted emails, their general emails that goes out to their whole list, and then it's their social posts. I include like national holidays or like the fun holidays as it relates to their audience and in their industry. And then like manufacturing month is a big one. Engineering day is another big one. And
Yeah.
then any trade shows too. I include all of this in one
I love
spreadsheet so that they can look at their whole year. And then what you do is once you're done with that year, you make another, you just copy and paste that, and then you do the condensed down menu thing that they have, the feature they have, and you can put the next year right below that so you can
that.
compare the previous year. So I'll share that image with everyone after this podcast because it's very simple. And I actually stole it from one of my old supervisors. She was really good at organization, and she showed it to me, and I'm like, I'm stealing this. So, Clancy, I stole your spreadsheet, and I'm using it to help other people get their content organized. So, thank you for that.
You know what I
Um,
do when I'm working with a client, Megan, is I do start with a spreadsheet, but some people actually find it to be overwhelming. Um,
yeah,
so the main thing for me when I start with that spreadsheet is really identifying those things that we want to be known for through our content. Um,
hmm
and so, like Whitney said it earlier, and I say too, consistency is key. And we can talk about which one works better, or this is what I do, this is what you do. But the main thing that people need to know is they need to find what works best for them and
yeah,
follow through with it. Make a plan and follow through. I've coached people to develop, like, in their content strategy, where they identify different days and they say, okay, on Mondays I'm going to talk about manufacturing Mondays or motivation Mondays. Tuesdays are going to be whatever, right? Tip Tuesday or Tuesday. Wednesdays for me, it's Wonder Women Wednesday,
hmm
because I highlight women that are in my circle on those days, right? Thursdays is always Thankful Thursday. So in my mind, I already know what kind of content I'm going to post today. And if I didn't prepare it ahead of time, at least I know, okay, this is what I need to have,
yeah.
and this is how. So use whatever strategy works for you, but make sure that you follow through and keep it consistent.
And Whitney commented on that. She's like, theme days make it so, come on, comment. Theme days make it so much easier to come up with content. I
Yeah.
agree. Like, I try to take advantage of those hashtags as much as possible. So, another good one for manufacturing that my friend Ann Wyatt does a lot of because she's a recruiter for manufacturing. She helps companies find the skilled talent, is Workforce Wednesday. And like that's huge because we're trying to pull more people in to fill
Yes.
up these jobs that we have. So that's always fun. And then Tony Gunn started one and I can't remember the hashtag, but he always highlighted other people he was following in the manufacturing space. I think it was like Monday Mate Day or I don't know. I have to look it up, but it was fun. I hope he starts that up again. Um
Whitney actually does Funny Fridays. So you'll see every Friday she has a joke that she shares on a Friday. I love that post.
I have to start following that, Whitney. I didn't know you were doing that. Are they dad jokes too? Like, do you have some dad jokes? I guess for us it would be like
Mom
mom jokes,
jokes.
but yeah,
Yes.
that's awesome. I love I always like would get upset with my dad when I was younger for making his dad jokes, but now I have more appreciation for them. I
Me
just think
too.
they're hysterical. They're super hysterical. So, Ingrid, this has been so much fun. Is
Yes.
there any other advice that we didn't get to cover during our conversation that you can think of that's important for our audience to know?
Um, hmm. I'm just looking at Katie's comment. She says, also, sometimes I can run a series that is fun. Once I did a Halloween interview with the vampire series where I interviewed different people in the supply chain. That is so cool.
That is cool. Did they dress up as vampires?
Tell us, please, did they?
Yeah, I
Um,
think it probably falls into the dad joke category.
yes.
You
There are
gotta
a
do
lot of
follow.
dad jokes. It's pretty funny, but um, no, I've pretty much said what I needed to say. I think the most one other. Let me share a stat with you. So remember, I told you that there are 800 million users plus on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
Um, well, only 5% of those people share content.
That's insane.
Yeah, only
That's really
5%. So what that means is if you share content, if you post, whether it's once a day, twice a day, once a week, once a month, you are standing out. You stand out and you are being seen and your voice is being heard. So make sure that whatever you decide, whatever plan you come up with when it comes to how you show up on LinkedIn and what you do, make sure that you are consistent so that people are able to recognize you, who you are, and what you stand for.
That's awesome. I had no idea of that few people that are actually posting on it.
Right?
It's funny because sometimes I'll get a comment or a DM where they're like, I've been secretly watching you or quietly watching you, and I really admire what, and it like blows me away because, yeah,
Yes.
there are some silent followers and
Yes.
then they pop out of nowhere and it's like, oh,
Yes.
that's cool. Whitney said, Katie, that is such a fun idea. Vince says, I keep all those jokes in my database. I want to see that. I want to see that database, Vince. Whitney is laughing at him. And then no, but I did ask them their favorite trick or treat. I
Oh.
don't have any favorite tricks. I always want treats. So, and then Penny Thorn, wow, awesome. Thank you for joining
Thank
us,
you.
Penny. And then Whitney said so many lurkers.
Yes.
Yeah, and so many trolls too, by the way, which I've noticed a lot of recently. And I swear, some of them purposely don't put a profile pic and it drives me crazy. Like if you're gonna
Mm.
waste the energy to like troll my stuff, at least let me see your face so I know who's doing that. But I get it.
Megan, I have to tell you this. So you know how you get these pitch slaps? A lot of the time, people just ignore them, right? And I remember there was somebody that would send me, he would comment on my stuff and send me DMs, making inappropriate comments. And if I didn't answer him, he would send me like question marks. He would just send a question mark and then like 2 minutes later another question mark until I'm like, of course, like it's pinging me now because I'm in a meeting or whatever and I'm seeing this coming into my LinkedIn. And one day I decided, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna show him grace and I'm actually gonna talk to him. And I said, I don't know if this is a cultural thing, but I want you to know that it's actually very offensive when you're sending somebody question marks repeatedly.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, wow, I didn't know that. And he actually asked me to get on a call with him, which I did. I got on a call with him and I taught him a bit of LinkedIn etiquette. And the first thing was you need to have a profile picture because people need to see who they're talking to.
Hmm.
And he did it. He actually listened to what I had to say and he followed through with my suggestions. Um,
Good.
yeah. And I think, sometimes it's just that people don't understand how to show up.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe I'll show them a little bit more grace the next time instead of just like, rolling my eyes and ignoring them in the background because that's mostly what my reaction is. I'm just like, okay, keep doing you. Like I
Right.
hope you. Whitney said, "What's your favorite candy?" Halloween candy. So I love Snickers and peanut butter. So if it has any
Oh.
relation to those two things, I will eat it all day.
I'll tell you what's mine. I like chocolate, not sweets, but chocolate.
Yeah. So we did this event in early March with the manufacturing champs group that I'm part of, and they had some local chefs come in to make our food and stuff. It was really awesome.
That's awesome.
Um, I don't know what he called it, but it was like this dark chocolate. It wasn't a brownie because it wasn't the consistency of a brownie. I want to say ganache, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a culinary chef,
Oh,
so I don't know the terms, but it was like melt in your mouth.
I
And
know what you're talking about.
one of my friends was talking. It was kind of like a truffle almost, but in a brownie form. One of my friends was sitting there talking to me when I put this confectionery goodness in my mouth, and I had to like put my hand on them and just stop them from talking because it was like
In
something
the
just
moment.
entered. Yeah, something just entered my soul, and I was like, "I can't move, I can't talk, like, this is making me extremely happy." Like, it was just
Oh my gosh.
a spiritual experience all from this chocolate thing I put it was so good, and everybody at the table was, like, laughing at me because I was just like, "This was life-changing. I'm sorry that I, like, interrupted you." Like, it was just so good, and the chef just was, like, so complimented by my reaction because it
Oh,
was just so good. I don't know what it was
I'll tell
called, but
you
it
what
was
it is.
and then
It's called molten lava cakes.
it wasn't that though.
It's
It
but
might
it's
have
a
been
chocolate. It's a chocolate cake, but it's the top of it is soft. So when you scoop into it, probably it's softer. Like so, it's like a mousse, but a warm mousse with the chocolate with the cake as well.
it
I'm like,
didn't have the cake part of it. I think it was just
really?
the no, it didn't have the cake part. I think it was just the lava portion of it.
Oh my gosh!
Whatever it was heavenly. And I'm so jealous because it's like this was in Michigan. So it's not like I can just go there and knock on the chef's door and be like, "Can you make me some more of that?" Like I would have to drive a distance. But it was so I just
You need to ask
it,
them the name of it so we can look up a recipe. Come on.
I have the guy's card, so I will put his information in the links below, but it was amazing and I couldn't stop talking about. Gail knows what I am talking about it cuz she called it like a reverse cake cuz she's like it's like the frosting first
Mhm.
kind of. And she was yeah, she liked it a lot too. Hank said the girls will look at my feed to find ladies in trades, not comment or like, but just look at the pictures. They are silent viewers.
Yeah.
I like that they're on LinkedIn at the ages they are because they're seeing a lot of cool ladies who are iron workers and welders and just really doing some cool stuff. I love it.
That's awesome.
And then Katie, this is funny. Today on Facebook, I got an invite that said, "I like your comment and I'd like to connect." I was like, "No way on Facebook, but on LinkedIn, I'd be totally down." But it's proof that each platform is a little different.
Oh my
I
god.
agree. Like, what's your intention on Facebook? What's your favorite Easter candy? Love Peeps, but they are not kosher. I think it's time for me to make a phone call. And then Whitney said, "Oh, it's the Cadbury eggs for me. The cream eggs are good, but I like the chocolate eggs with the candy coating." I
Yes,
don't really have a fit. Oh, yes, I do. Okay, so Reese's peanut butter cups make egg-shaped
they do.
Reese's. Yep, they're egg-shaped. They're a lot better than the peanut butter cups because the peanut butter ratio is higher in the eggs. than it is in the cups.
I'm
I'm
not
weird.
telling this to anybody in my house.
I'm so weird because I know that, but I'm telling you, it makes a difference. The higher the peanut butter ratio is, the better, in my opinion. People may disagree with me, but I'm telling you, those are good. I'm really excited that we're getting baskets because my mom always puts extra one of those in. I love my mom. She's such a sweet lady. I'm almost 40 and she still makes me an Easter basket.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she just loves her kid. She spoils the hell out of us. Yes, I'm one of those spoiled kids. Love my mom. Um, and then Whitney said, yes, so much peanut butter. And I think they have more peanut butter than the pumpkins at Holly do. They do. They do. They definitely do. I agree with
Wow.
that.
Meaghan, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Smooth or crunchy? Peanut butter.
To be honest, it actually depends on the day. It depends on the
Really?
it does. It depends on the day. And this, I don't know what this says about me, but I like smooth peanut butter when I'm in a good mood.
Oh,
And if I'm not in a good mood, there's just something about the crunchy peanut butter that makes me in a better mood.
wow.
It's so I'm such a weird person, I know. But yeah,
No.
it depends.
Okay, let me ask you another question then. Did you grow up with smooth or crunchy peanut butter?
We grew up with smooth. So we were a big Jif family.
Okay.
And the thing is, I don't know if I'm happy about that decision my mom made because I really like the Skippy peanut butter, the Skippy crunchy peanut butter.
Yes.
I'm
Oh my
so
gosh.
weird.
But it's so expensive here in Canada. It is so expensive. Skippy is
Oh,
ridiculous.
it's getting expensive here too. And I'm not going to share my opinions on why, but it's getting
Yeah.
expensive. And then Greg said
Oh my-
dark chocolate, the darker the better. I agree with that. Definitely a dark chocolate fan. Whitney said crunchy peanut butter.
Me too.
I I agree, but I have to be in a bad mood for me to appreciate it more. I don't know why. It's just so weird. All natural crunchy every time.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm so weird. We've learned a lot of weird things about me today. That's great.
No, you're not weird.
So
You're just unique. You're you.
just just different. It's funny how like certain food, I have to eat certain food
Mm.
based on my mood. It's just so weird. I don't know. I like food. I went out to eat with a friend yesterday and they're like, "Oh, what are you in the mood for?" And I'm like, "Food. Just what I'm hungry. I don't care what it is as long as it's not squid or octopus. We can go anywhere you want to go. I'll eat sushi. I'm just hungry.
Oh my
Let's do it."
gosh.
And then Whitney said it was so sad when Jif had the recall and you couldn't find it anywhere for ages. I know, right? And we started eating Skippy Natural, and I think I like it better.
Mm.
I think Skippy's good, but I like Jif too because it's childhood memories. But I have seen Zagnut before, but have never tried it. I've never even heard of that.
It's from Vince's comment. You skipped over that one. He said, I may be dating myself, but does anyone remember the candy Zagnut?
No,
No.
I'm gonna have to Google that, Vince. Thank
I'm
you. It sounds interesting.
yes.
What? Then there's the hazelnut spread. What was that called?
Um. Oh my gosh. Are you serious? I can't remember.
I
Why?
can't remember it either, and I had somebody buy it for me as a gift because I never had it before. But it's all hazelnut.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh. Why?
Whitney mentioned Peter Pan peanut butter, and then Vince said that's delicious. I gotta look up the hazelnut spread.
I'm looking it up now. Nutella.
Nutella.
Yeah.
There we go. Whitney and Katie both chimed in. That's
You were
good
having a
too.
brain fart. Sorry.
So we're a little over time, but one more quick thing
Yes.
before I ask my last question. Have you ever heard of fluff?
Depends on what exactly you're referring to, because of course there's fluff and then there's fluff, right? So,
Yeah. So it's marshmallow fluff.
oh yes.
There's a brand that actually calls it fluff. So one of my favorite things to eat is a fluffernutter sandwich. So it's peanut butter and fluff.
I've never eaten fluff.
It's so good, but not the healthiest choice to make for your life, but it's so good. So like
Yeah.
when I'm really down, I'll put together a fluffinoder sandwich, and I get made fun of because I'm almost 40 and it's basically for kids, but I am a big kid at heart, so yeah.
So how do you put it? Like, do you put peanut butter on one side and the fluff on the other side?
Yep, and then you smack it together. You can kind of do like a grilled cheese version of it too. If you don't mind it all melty and gooey. That's really good. Those are for like the really bad days. But you do like I have to use two knives, otherwise you mix the peanut butter with the fluff or vice versa, so I don't. And then yes, Katie, she says I do Ritz and fluffs. That's really good. You can dip or you can dip the peanut butter cookies. What are those? The Nutter Butter cookies. You can dip those in fluff and eat it that way as well too.
I've never
So
had fluff. Maybe I need to change that.
I'm best friends with your husband, Katie. He eats them daily.
Oh
So
my
for
gosh.
more tips on what foods to eat when you're in a bad mood, just contact me because I got a list of them for you.
Oh my gosh. That's so cool.
But
Right. Read what
Ingrid,
Denise said. Denise said, "Your mouth is glued together." Yeah, that's exactly what I'm picturing. And I'm like, I don't know.
you just gotta drink milk, or if you're not a milk fan,
Oh my
drink
God.
oat milk or almond milk. I'm telling you guys, you gotta try it. I'm telling you, you're not gonna. You might regret your life choices, but uh, if you eat too much peanut butter, Katie.
Oh my God. That's why you have to read the comments before you display them on your screen.
No, I don't. It's fine.
I've
It's
had a
real.
I've had a negative experience actually with that. That's why I do it.
I was telling Ingor before we started this live how I was involved in a spicy wing challenge,
Oh
and
my.
I regret every decision that I made that day. Not good. Like the spiciest sauce that we ate was like 80 Scovilles or 80 million some whatever the measurement of spices, and I just it's not great. Everybody's laughing about Katie's comment.
Yeah.
Katie, Katie, thank you for bringing the humor to Mavens. I appreciate it. I do want to ask you this one final question before
Yeah.
I let you go. And for everyone who's hanging in there, thank you so much. If you had one ask for our audience, what would your biggest ask be?
Hmm. Just, be kind to one another. You don't know what somebody else is going through. And just show each other grace. Because at the end
I
of the
love that.
day, we're all humans and we need each other. No man is an island.
I love that. And
Right?
then Inger, if anybody wants to reach out to you for more tips about how to up their LinkedIn game or just to connect with you, where should they go and how can they get a hold of you?
The best place is on LinkedIn. Just reach out to me. My name is Ingor Van Rooi, just as you see here, and that's the way that it's displayed on LinkedIn. And I'm the only Ingor Van Rooi that you'll find, so it's pretty easy.
It's true. It's true. Well, Inger, thank you so much again for joining me on Mavens of Manufacturing. It's always such a pleasure. And I did tell Gail I saw her yesterday. I'm actually getting my passport renewed, so I'm gonna make a trip out to Canada, and I want to hang out with both of you lovely ladies because I just think
Oh,
you're amazing, and we need more individuals like you in
oh,
our
thank
lives. So
you.
for all of those tuning in, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Your funny comments, Katie, I really appreciate those. And
Yes.
then, if you have food suggestions, add those to the comments as well too. Be sure to stick around for this message from my sponsor. If you're looking for a way to elevate your brand in terms of merchandise, Fresh Horizons is always looking out for me, and they're a locally owned, family owned business in my own community. So I always try to give back, and they're great. Bob is awesome, and his wife Jackie is awesome as well too. So take a listen and have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.
Thanks for having me.
This episode of Mavens has been sponsored by Fresh Horizons Group. Fresh Horizons Group is a family-run company that was founded on the premise of helping organizations and businesses better tell their story through high-quality branded apparel and promotional items. Freshen up your brand by contacting Fresh Horizons today at freshhorizonsgroup.com.